Al Jazeera.
Violence in Israel
is
starting when an
Israelis
mortars and rockets have been fired from Gaza into Israel within.
Much to my dismay, there was a conflict that broke out in the weeks leading up to the trip. I was concerned.
When we heard about all the turmoil in Israel, the first thing you think of is, is this a safe place to go? We had children at home and we were concerned about how they would feel.
There was a lot of concerns in my family, as well as many of my friends were concerned about the turmoil that had just broken out in the southern part of Israel. And it was at that time that my wife prompted me to really ask the question and if I was really supposed to come on the trip.
Hello there, Pastor Jack Hayford. I am pleased for the opportunity to talk with folks who would be curious to know about security when you're traveling in the Middle East. And I'm standing on the balcony of my hotel room right now in Jerusalem, right behind me. It's a lovely evening here. In fact, a full moon was just 3 days ago. And believe me, that's a sight with a full moon over Jerusalem. Only 2 weeks before that, we had to make the decision as whether we would even come because of the strife that was going on down in Gaza and the shelling that was taking place against Israel, the need for defense and response, retaliation. And perhaps the main thing that you learn when you come to the Middle East or read about it is that it's just something sparks up and then it's over. There are rarely anything lasts very long, and they're very isolated and localized. So when we hear of things, we see them on television, and they are, you're watching the very place that it's happening. If you were in the land, for example, in the recent strains that surrounded the pre-ceasefire, and I'm speaking to you right now, on this recent strain that took place in Gaza between the Palestinians and Israelis, that in most of the land you would not even been aware of it. You're aware of it in the news, but you're not aware of anything that's going on. And this is a very small country. It's much smaller than the state of California in terms of north and south. In fact, about a third of the distance, north and south, and about a third of the distance in width. It's a very small country. So it's not even because there's a great distance for you to be away. That's why I did, and it's what I counsel people to look for. Look for leadership that lets you know exactly where the situation is. There's no responsible leader, no responsible government here in Israel or in the US or any other nation that is going to either ask people to travel with them or ask them to come and visit their nation or to approve people from their nation go to a nation where there's trouble without letting people know. The U.S. State Department is very explicit. They issue advisories. From those advisories, you can draw your conclusions. Israel doesn't want people coming and become injured or get in the middle of a milieu that is going to be potentially injurious to them. Leaders will write letters, and as I wrote on this occasion, we had 90 people preparing to come with us, and I wrote the letter in a way to make very clear that if you're nervous about this, then don't come. You will not be disrespected, but I knew that the odds were 1,000 to 1 that everything would be fine. But I very clearly told people the State Department clears the way, Israel clears the way, we're planning on going, the airlines are still flying, all these things. These are signals that you can take of what the relative degree of security or safety for you is, and it can be investigated. Encourage you to weigh decisions, but weigh them in the light of the probability that you're going to be safe traveling to Israel, but at the same time, the wisdom and the personal practicality, the wisdom of having good counsel on it and feeling secure in your own spirit.
I'm here today in Jerusalem. I have enjoyed my trip. I have felt safe the entire time, and I look forward to finishing this trip, and I am ever so thankful that I was able to come.
You know, we did our diligence. I looked into the consulate and made sure that they weren't putting a stop to our travel, and we contacted Inspirations and made sure that everything was still a go. And really more so, we were looking for a door to be closed, not to go. But God had just really given us a sense of peace that this was His purpose and desire for us at this time. And we haven't been disappointed. It's been wonderful.
It's been great. I thought maybe that when we got here there'd be some turmoil, but I look around and I notice especially children. You know, I look around at families and children, and the children are playing in the streets and they're walking to school, and life seems like it's going on as usual. So I figured if the kids aren't worried, why should I? If the families aren't worried, then this must be a safe place to be.
Now being here, it's been an amazing trip so far, and not only have I learned about Israel, but I've also experienced and explored Israel with Jesus, and it's been an amazing time, and encounter after encounter that I've had with Him, as well as the amazing community that I've had on the trip, has just again reminded me time and time again that this was the right decision for me, and at the right time as well.